It's Sunday night. It's Sunday night, HBCU football fans, and welcome to another episode of the Black College Experience. Every time I hear our new intro music by Marcel P. Black, God's Trombone, it just gets me hyped for HBCU football. And we had a wonderful weekend of HBCU football, highlighted by a wonderful game attended to by my wonderful co-host and the CEO of Black College Experience, the wonderful Keisha Kelly. What's going on, Kels?
And Kels is over here in Atlanta, hot Atlanta, under the weather. Kels came back. I went from climate to climate. I went from cold, chilly weather in Atlanta to hot, burning up hot heat in Tallahassee to air conditioner all in between to now back to whatever it's doing here in Atlanta. So I am under the weather. I'm going to get through this. But my nose is doing something. My eyes are doing something. I just want to rest. I was like, I got to rest. And the bad thing is, or the great thing is, I'm on the road again this weekend. So hopefully I can get it together by this weekend. But let's just hop straight into this. Like you said, it was some really big games this weekend. We had Pine Bluff. We had Southern. We had Grambling. It was a shootout over with Alcorn and Prairie View. And I just don't know how I thought that was going to end. But I think we can start here with Arkansas Pine Bluff down Tennessee State 37-31. And then showing us that this is a different game. I was reading somewhere where this girl had posted that South Dakota game from last year. And I had to tell her, I said, this ain't the same team. I said, that's an out-of-conference game, so it don't count. I said, but this is not the same UAPB Lions that they were playing with last year. This is a different ball game. So this group of guys, they are definitely playing with a different momentum, and I think they are putting the SWAC on alert. So let's start there. What do you think about this UAPB team and Coach Prince?
Well, as I stated before, these ain't last year's Lions. You know, I don't want to say your daddy's Lions because at one point UAPB had a strong team, but these aren't last year's Lions. They are roaring and they're putting the SWAC on notice. Now, no one really thought that UAPB was for real, but they just proved it by defeating Tennessee State. A team that, has been, taking this, has been playing SWAC teams all year. I mean, they played Valley, they played Jackson State, they played Arkansas Pine Bluff. They're now 1-2 versus the SWAC. Should be 0-3. But let's talk about this Pine Bluff game. I mean, Pine Bluff was led by Shannon Patrick. He threw for 253 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Skylar Perry also played quarterback, but he didn't play long. Only 48 yards, and he also threw an interception. On the ground is where Arkansas Pine Bluff dominated in this game. And when you can have a ground game like this, turning up yards like that, that's going to bode well for you. Taylor Porter, another great game for this guy. 107 yards, 2 touchdowns. Keisha Williams, 84 yards, 1 touchdown. Total of 218 yards on the ground, 4 touchdowns. Harry Ballard also had a touchdown, 3-yard touchdown run through the air. Harry Ballard led the Lions in receiving, 7 catches for 112 yards, followed by Jeremy Brown with 2 catches for 57 yards and a touchdown. DeJuan Miller had 36 yards. Taylor Porter, touchdowns on the ground and in the air, 2 catches for 33 yards and 1 touchdown. Defensively for UAPB, they were led by Blake Connor and Jalen Thigpen. Both had 9 tackles apiece. Thigpen had a tackle for loss. Sacks for UAPB. Two Lions had sacks. Monroe Beard and Jalen Stewart each had a sack apiece. Interceptions, Henry Murphy had 1 interception. For Tennessee State, Cameron Rosenthal threw for 334 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. On the ground, Tennessee State was kind of held in check as far as total yards, that being losses and sacks. Kendrick Robertson had 65 yards. Seth Rowland had 25. DeMarco Corbin had 12. Rosenthal was sacked 3 times, like I said before, for a loss of 32 yards. Through the air, Chris Rowland had a Big game for Tennessee State in the losing effort. 13 receptions, 154 yards, 1 touchdown, followed up by Stephen Newbold, 7 catches, 91 yards, 1 touchdown. Malik Moore had 3 catches for 67 yards and 1 touchdown. Defensively for Tennessee State, Ronnie Killings had 9 tackles, followed up by Terry Stroud with 8. He also had 2 tackles for loss. Sacks, Mike Boykin had 1 sack. Interceptions, Larry Whithoy had both interceptions for Tennessee State, and he returned them 52 yards. But let's just look at this game more in depth. I mean, this was a high-scoring game. 68 points scored in this game. I mean, it was a back-and-forth battle, and UAPB put it away in the fourth quarter, outscoring Tennessee State 12-7. Like we said, Kels, these aren't last year's Lions. So, I mean, you interviewed Coach Thomas at the SWAC meet today. I mean, did he have any idea that he would have this kind of start?
Well, talking to Coach Thomas, that was one of the things he said. They just wanted to make sure that they were able to close out games because, as we know, last year they had some close games. And that was the first thing that they said that, the thing he said he was looking forward to, closing out games and making sure that they could execute. And I think last week, or someone said, might have been, I think that was Shelton. He was like, if they win this week, or somebody said, if they win this week, that will prove to us that this is literally a different team. And I think every week they're showing, that they are a different team, and they are right now because they're the only one. Southern hasn't played any SWAC games or any conference games, but they have. They're right now first in the conference as to where with the early predictions, Southern was predicted to finish first, followed by Prairie View, followed by Grambling, followed by Pine Bluff, or Howard, Texas Southern, then Pine Bluff. But as we can see, how that changed, how things have changed. And yesterday was a scramble up. And that's detrimental. 37-31. Looking across the board, as you said, even in the first quarter, it's a 7-7 score. But going on to the second quarter, they scored and they made it 12 as to where Tennessee State only scored 3 points. So, they're doing their job on both sides of the ball. Defense, offense are doing it, and it's just running. And like you said, even with Tennessee State having the game that they did, they just still fell short by 7 points, and they were outscored by the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff Golden Line. So I know Cedric Thomas is excited to see what's going on right now.
Right, and the winning touchdown was thrown by Patrick to Jeremy Brown with just the
final dagger. The final dagger. The last minute. The final dagger.
Because Tennessee State tied the game with 50 seconds left. And UAPB pulled I guess you can say, a Tulane, scoring so quickly in the last second to win the game. I mean, just amazing football. HBCU football has been great this year. I mean, we've had some amazing games. I want to welcome my line brother, Patrick Perry, to the show. What's going on, PP? How you doing?
I'm all right.
All right, we're just talking about this victory that Pine Bluff had over Tennessee State. Man, what do you think about these Lions of 2019, man? Should the SWAC West and Alcorn or anyone in the SWAC East be put on notice for these Lions?
Yeah, I mean, I told you that I said that from the beginning of the season. People thought that UAPB was just going to be a pushover. Everybody thought that, hey, UAPB Valley, doormats, they ain't improved. And like everybody's talking about their improvements, but hey, it's obvious now that everybody in the SWAC, there's no off weekends, Right. Every time you go into a stadium, every time you go into a stadium, you're going to be in for a dog fight.
Right, and when you look at the SWAC West, I mean, all the mascots are cats. So will the Lions be the big cat in the West? I mean, you got UAPB Lions, Prairie View Panthers, Southern Jags, Grambling State Tigers, Texas Southern Tigers. So, I mean, who's going to be the big cat in the West? I mean, right now it looks like Arkansas Pine Bluff. It's still early. It's still early,
yeah.
And we're going to find out if the Lions are really big cats in the SWAC, as they will. Are they coming to Southern this Saturday, Kels?
No, we
They go to
Arkansas Pine Bluff. We head that way. So, nope, it's not a home game for us.
Yes, indeed. So I guess we're going to find out who's going to be the big cat in that game. But next game we want to talk about in the SWAC. I mean, it was like I said, we can just pick one. Pick a game to talk about.
Okay, so hold on. Before we hop into that, we want to go here and we want to talk about this change that happened with University of Arkansas Pine Bluff athletic director Melvin Hines. Now, this one came as a shocker to me. I didn't know where it came from. I didn't see it coming. If you told me 2 months ago it was coming, I never would have saw it coming. But there has been a change, again, at Arkansas Pine Bluff. And for most people that know, he was at Alabama State for 7 years. And for some reason, they never removed the interim tag behind Melvin's name. The Chancellor, Lawrence Alexander, declined further comment on the matter on Thursday because everybody has questions. And of course, they attempted a interview, but they were unable to do so. So the thing is, I guess the thing that really, and I guess everybody, because even Coach Thomas declined to comment. But I guess the thing that's so crucial, or everybody's wondering about, is what was the reason, or where did it come from? Because it seemed to just come from out the middle of nowhere. And he's moved the athletic program in a different direction. But then, of course, you hear the underlying things, and I hear the underlying things that I definitely won't repeat. But it's crazy. So what are y'all thoughts on this change with Pine Bluff? Because like I tell people, Melvin's from Huntsville. This is not a move from like Birmingham to like Atlanta. You talking about moving from Arkansas to somewhere else. Like it's a major thing.
Well, I was shocked when I first saw the news because I know of your relationship with Melvin. And, I've gotten a chance to interact and talk with him on Facebook and, throughout the show when he was a guest. So I looked at him like, wow, as a friend, so to say. So, I don't want to engage in rumors. A friend, a former Black College Experience guest, has lost his position of employment. But I feel like this Melvin will bounce back. He will find another place to continue his journey as an athletics administrator, because so whatever the reason was, I feel like Melvin has done more good in his life career wise than bad, and his track record over the times of his years of being an athletic administrator, I think is going to speak for itself. That's what I'm going to say. Maybe it just was time for Arkansas Pine Bluff to move in a different direction. I mean, we're not going to get the real reason. I mean, we're just not going to get it. Like I said, I'm still kind of in shock. I wanted to ask him, but I felt like if it was anybody who he would talk to about that, it might be you. I don't know if you've asked him, but really, I wouldn't want to talk about the reason on the show. That would be a private conversation, because stuff like that, you want to keep some stuff. It's not for everybody's ears. You know what I mean?
Correct. And the funny thing is that even when he changed positions at with Alabama State, it was the same thing. It was a conversation, and I was like, even if you're comfortable enough with it, I knew it wasn't going to be a conversation that he had, because I did reach out to him and just talk to him, but it wasn't a conversation that he wanted to have at that time. So, right. I absolutely positively understand how that goes. But like I said, it's just a lot of unanswered questions, and there's a lot of people still asking why. And there's more information will be later, but just some of his accomplishments, his milestones, like the men's cross country, they won the SWAC championship. The best post ever finished in the SWAC position. Of course, their academics were high.
Right.
They flourished in APR. They had a new turf installed at the field. They had new floor seating installed at the arena. The baseball facility had upgrade. So, and the thing is that he comes from Division I institutions, Auburn, Louisville, Alabama A&M, Troy, Minnesota, and Mississippi. So, and of course, Alabama State. So, it is, again, all of those things that come under him, the Commissioner's Cup and the women's teams and tournaments and division. It's just, I don't know. It's crazy.
PP?
It's just the timing. Like, wow, okay, is this something that could have waited till the end of the end of the semester? And apparently, I guess not. We barely a quarter into the season as far as football and cross country and all these other sports, and they just made the move. Like, damn, it just came out of nowhere.
Right. So, just like with any loss of a family member, you feel for that person as far as job related. But like I said, I feel like Melvin's going to bounce back. I feel like he's going to find another position where he can continue his journey in athletic administration. Will it be in the SWAC? Will it be at another HBCU? I don't know. But I feel like Melvin is a good person. I feel like he is a hard worker, and he really, really, his track record, what he did at Alabama State, and the short time he was at UAPB, regardless of the reason why he was removed, was going to speak for itself. So. Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, so we're ready to move on back to football?
Let's take a commercial break before we...
We will be right back with more Black College Experience in 31 seconds.
I already knew that I was going to go to college, from a young age. I definitely want to major in political science. After that, I'm going to get my law degree. Then I'm going to come back to Detroit, boost the economy, become the mayor or something, try to make the situation better for other people. I feel like I owe it to the city. I'm determined. It's gonna happen. My name is Justin, and I am your dividend.
All right, we're back with more Black College Experience, and we're just recapping of this past weekend's action in the SWAC, and we're definitely going to move on to the MEAC, CIAA, SEAC, and also independent HBCUs that we have information for. So we just talked about UAPB's big win over Tennessee State, and are we ready to move on to the shootout at the at the reservation?
We can move on to Alcorn, Alcorn and Prairie View, which was it was really silent from a lot of Alcorn fans to the very end. It was very silent on that side. Somehow they pulled it out, but it was I heard it was a shootout.
Yeah, that's why I said shootout at the shootout at the reservation. This game, come on, Apple. All right. Alcorn wins the game 45-41, but the Braves had to put on a furious comeback and also hold off Prairie View to secure the win, all without a very important player. No Noah Johnson and no Deshaun Waller. So Alcorn has some future players there, maybe try to continue their dominance. But Felix Harper led the Braves in the passing attack with 280 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also ran for only 18 yards and a touchdown. So maybe the Braves' offense underneath Harper is going to be more of a passing attack because we know what Noah Johnson brings. He's a running quarterback. Nico Duffy led the Braves on the ground with 86 yards and 2 touchdowns, followed up by Trey Turner with 22 yards and a touchdown. Waller did play, but he did not play long. The Braves were led through the air by Pringle. He had 8 catches for 144 yards and 1 touchdown. Chris Blair had 4 catches for 70 yards. Tim McNair Jr., oh my God, another McNair at Alcorn playing football. 4 catches, 31 yards, and 1 touchdown. Defensively for the Braves, led by preseason SWAC Defensive Player of the Year, Muhammad. He had 18 total tackles, 2.5 for loss, 1 sack, followed up by Juwan Taylor with 11, and Dalen Burks with 8. Three interceptions. DeWanya Tucker led the Panthers on the ground with 128 yards and 2 touchdowns. Morton also had 28 yards, and Caleb Roach had 27 yards. Just to recap this, Phineas Harper for the Braves had 280 yards and 2 touchdowns. Nico Duffy had 86 yards, 2 touchdowns. Trey Turner had 22 yards and a touchdown. Receiving-wise for the Panthers, Tony Mullins had 84 yards and a touchdown. Tristan Wallace, 79 yards and a touchdown. Jordan Jones, 75 yards and 2 touchdowns for the Braves. Pringle again, 8 catches for 144 yards, 1 touchdown. Defensively for Prairie View, Trey Shaw-Smith led the Panthers with 10 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and 1 sack. Followed up by Cheatham Drake and Jason Dumas. And Jason Dumas with 7 tackles apiece. Alcorn, of course, was led by Solomon Muhammad. Hope I'm saying that right. With 18 total tackles to lead the Braves defense. But Kels, I mean,
Derek didn't let me tell none of the stats. I'm looking at the stats, and he just told all the stats. I'm gonna let him just.
But I was gonna say, Kels, this game. I mean, where was the defense?
First, let's start here. ESPN3. We got some ESPN3 time here, so. It had to be one of the greatest games that I couldn't see. You know, it's kind of bad when you can't see the game. But all of that, and being that you didn't have Noah Johnson or Deshaun Waller, that says a lot, and you still end up getting it done. Only 2 points, 3 points, 4 points. A win is a win, and you know, at the end of the day, they did. They sealed the deal. They won the game. But that was a lot going on. It was a lot going on. And the funny thing is for all of that to happen in one game, you really couldn't determine, because I know we were trying to check the stats, and Tallahassee didn't have any type of reception. So we were trying to check the stats on the game, and I just saw that PV was up. Preview was up repeatedly. And then it was, I didn't see anything else, and then it was up by 3 points. Next thing you know, I see a touchdown come through from Alcorn. That was probably after I saw that touchdown and all the buffering and everything else that would not, I couldn't, it wouldn't let us do it, I guess. But just to look back at LaCharles Pringle, 8 catches for 144 yards and a touchdown. Just crazy. And I think where I actually came is where I seen Harper's pass that was complete to Tim McNair Jr. for a 3-yard touchdown strike. That's where I came in. It at least let me see that part of it. So I at least knew what was happening there. But I just could not believe that at that point that the game was basically over. The game was basically over. It was a great day for both of them. Great game. Great day for both of them.
PP, what's your outlook on this game, man?
Hey, I guess it just proves Alcorn's depth as far as, quarterback. I think he's from Mississippi, Harper. He had the stick. Oh, okay. Well, I know that that proves that depth. Like, man, you thinking, okay, Noah's, you have to prepare for him, and then he goes down, and you got to prepare for out of nowhere comes this throwing quarterback that just comes in, this lights up Prairie View, as far as their defense is concerned. Well, we all kind of porous anyway, but it just gives kudos to, the depth that Alcorn has, and Prairie View, once again, not finishing the game.
Right.
It just seems like the theme that they got going on is not being able to finish games.
Right. I mean, because when you look at the box score, pull this back up.
And I think that's one of the things you say that, Patrick. That's one of the things that Coach Julie talking about. How can we finish the game? And that's the most important. It's 4 quarters to the game. How do you end it? How do you execute it? And I think that's the worst thing is that they don't know how to finish the game.
Right. Because Alcorn jumped out 17-0. Now when I saw that, I was like, ooh, they finna whoop Prairie View. But then the Panthers fought back to take a 34-24 lead. You know, and Alcorn is just like a vampire at night. You got to stake him. If you don't stake the Braves, they gonna come back and get you, and that's exactly what happened. You know, and all that needs to be said now is Alcorn defeated Prairie View with their second string. I saw a post on Facebook say SWAC Championship, Alcorn first string versus Alcorn second string. This is all the Braves needed to give them confidence that they're headed back to the SWAC Championship game on their campus. This is all they needed, you know. This just gives them more and more confidence. But this is HBCU football. This is how we roll. We talk noise like that, you know. So Prairie View, better get your act together on defense because when you see Alcorn again, you know, they're going to already have the confidence that they can beat you without Noah Johnson. And Noah Johnson hopefully will be back this season. Definitely want to see him on the field healthy for his senior season because we know what he means to the Alcorn offense. But like PP said, this just shows you the depth that Alcorn has to defeat Prairie View with a backup quarterback of the future for the Braves. So moving right along. Next game we want to highlight, next big game. Got to talk about this rivalry renewed, Kels. I know you probably want to throw something at me for bringing this up. FAMU versus your Southern University Jags. And we was hoping to have Crystal Bennett on the original co-host of Black Holiday Experience so she could have her gloating moment. But she's going to have to call in another night. She has parental duties. But she says she wants her gloating moment. Her Rattlers defeated your Jags. Kels, you were at the game. Let's talk about the atmosphere of the rivalry renewed.
I never knew in 38, almost 39 years of my life that a down at the one was a touchdown because that's exactly what happened in the very first half of the game. I'm mad trying not to cuss. Willie in the end zone, we all doing the same thing. Talk about just upset. I'm like, I'm okay with a loss. Don't cheat us. And they said it. The guy jokingly said, we've been waiting for this 10 years. We paid the refs, all that as a joke. But I have never, and this is the first time I'm going to see the offensive line was getting beat up. I'm talking about beat up front. I don't know what wasn't clicking. Offense wasn't doing something. Defense wasn't doing nothing. Special teams wasn't doing. It was just everybody was going in whatever direction they were going. So it was a crazy game. But being in the atmosphere was a really great thing. Got a chance to get out there and be out there and commingle with both Rattlers and with Jaguars. It was a great experience to actually get out there and enjoy that moment with my actual school and get a chance to see them. And of course, the fifth quarter. And for people that don't know, I absolutely hate. Y'all know I hate mascots. I absolutely hate them. I actually hated to see, and I actually got a picture of Venom, and I absolutely hated him at that moment as well. I just don't. I don't like any type of mascot. I just don't. But of course, this also was broadcast. This is TN Bragg Memorial Stadium. This is broadcast at ESPN3. Now, just keep in mind, the Rattlers did come off a 57-20 win last week against Fort Valley. We came off a 51-0 win off of Illinois College. So just kind of looking at film and looking at play, we didn't really, I guess we underestimated them. These two teams have actually met 6 times. And the Rattlers, of course, are holding the record 33-26-1. But last year, the last time Southern did win, and of course, we won two victorious 21-27 was the final takedown. So we can go into those. We can go into those stats. Pretty.
All right, we're gonna jump into. We're gonna go to the
I know
winners.
I talked all the noise, all of it.
You did, but I mean, that's the thing is what you always say, cuz when you win with your team, you lose with your team. Win, lose, or drought, you win with
them,
Jags.
you lose with them. I don't care. I'm going with them no matter what happens.
All right, so let's talk about this Florida A&M offensive attack. Ryan Stanley had the game of a lifetime, 355 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was intercepted once. On the ground, the Rattlers ran for a total of 78 yards, led by Devon Kendrick and Bishop Dunnett with 36 and 31 yards, respectively. Azundi Ray had a touchdown run through the air for FAMU. Now, this is who y'all could not stop. Xavier Smith, 9 catches for 201 yards and 1 touchdown. Your DB should have been passing interference on him all night long to keep him from all those catches. Followed up by David Manigo with 5 catches for 55 yards. And George Webb with 3 catches for 53 yards. Defensively, find these defensive stats. They always be hiding on this sheet. All right, FAMU was led by Doyle Grimes, Andrew Hines, and Terry Jefferson. Also, DeMontre Moore. All 4 had 6 tackles. Interception was Marquise Bell had 2 picks, returning for 40 yards. Sacks. Let's see here. Doyle Grimes, DeMontre Moore had a half a sack. Ronaldo Flowers had 1 sack, and Isaiah Land had 1 sack. Now, for the Jaguars, while it took a while for your Jags to wake up, Kills, the Jags had a lot of fight. And that is one thing that I've seen from your Jaguars in every game they've played in. When they get down, they don't give up. And that's part of that chop wood, carry water mentality that Coach Odoms has implemented. But you can't sleep too long, and I think that's what happened. Leading rusher for the Jaguars was Devin Ben with 39 yards, followed up by Chaney with 12 yards. Skelton had 8 yards. Not much on the ground for the Jaguars. Through the air, Skelton only 114 yards passing, 1 touchdown, followed up by Bubba McDaniel with 73 yards, no touchdowns. Through the air, Washington led the Jaguars, 5 catches, 109 yards, and 1 touchdown, a long of 54, followed up by Mackey, Nelson, and Barefoot with 23, 14, and 11 yards, respectively. Houston had 1 catch for 21 yards. Defensively for the Jags, the Jags were led by Harris with 10 tackles, Carter with 8 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, Davis with 7 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, 1 interception by Papillion, and let's see here what the sacks at. The sacks, Davis also had a sack. But Kels, I mean, let's talk about how you saw your Jags fight back in this game. Down early, and then you start chopping that wood. Start chopping that wood, carrying that water, and walking down the Rattlers. I know you had to be. I know you had to get real excited seeing them come back in this game like that.
I did, and the thing is that's so tough to watch is being in that environment. I'm not sure if y'all ever been to Bragg Stadium. It's been last time I was actually in Tallahassee was 2001. It wasn't a good scene because Southern won, and needless to say, let's just say it ended in a bus driver, a gun, and a brawl. It was a whole bunch of stuff, and it wasn't a good sight. So I was just praying that it didn't end the same way. But needless to say, it was a very unruly environment, and I can kind of compare that to Southern Jackson State. But it wasn't like because Jackson State had security, but it was very, very, very unruly. You got hecklers heckling the bands, the kids. You got hecklers heckling the daggone football team. There's no security. Patrick could have walked on the field if he wanted to without a credential. That would have been totally fine. He could have probably would have kicked a field goal. Would have been fine. There was no type of security. So everything was just so unprecedented. I was like, what are we doing? So Sean is this guy. His uncle actually his cousin coaches at his uncle coaches over at Grambling, which these are all Eddie Robinson's great grandkids. So Sean was there. Me and Sean on the sideline. Sean don't have no type of credentials. He's just walking around. But that environment was just like, it was real intense. It was real crucial. It was real scary. And once it was time to go, I was like, all right. But the thing that I truly admired I did. I'm not a band person, but the band both, in my opinion, they both did really well. FAMU did go over their time, and they kept on going like nothing was going on. And Venom kept on dancing like nothing was going on. So they went over their time. So I feel like they should have been penalized for that, but it is what it is. But they did. In my honest opinion, they both did well. Both teams did well, or both bands did well. They did. FAMU was in love with Southern. Everybody was recording it. Everybody posted it. I'm like, it's on YouTube, but it is what it is. And there was a group of kids, I think, from Albany, Georgia. They were from high school or something, middle school. They were from somewhere in Georgia. I think it was Albany. And they saw the band director shook the kid's hand. And you thought he meant LeBron. He fell out. He was so thrilled. He was like, oh my God. He shook my hand. And I'm looking like, who shook your hand? And he was like, the band director. Okay, sir. So it was, to me, it was an overall, we had our boos, they had their boos, but hats off to FAMU. The only thing I can say is they got to meet us in Mumford next year. And the environment is going to be crazy. 27,160, It was a crazy crowd, and I never seen so many peas and carrots in my life. All you see was green and orange. But it was a great game, great environment.
Right. And like I said, they will be coming to Mumford next year, and hopefully I will be able to attend that game. It'll be my first time ever seeing FAMU play. It'll be my first time ever seeing the Marching 100 in action live. So I'm looking forward to that, God willing, that I'm still on this planet.
Which for most people that don't know, head drum major is Corey Bostic. She is from Decatur, Georgia. And for the other half, most people that don't know, most of the Marching 100 come straight out of Atlanta, Georgia, Southwest DeKalb. So when they start announcing, you'll hear Georgia, because most of them come straight from here.
Yes, indeed. Now, moving right along, the next big game in the SWAC, and this game was an upset in my eyes. Even though Grambling has not won a game this year, no one expected Alabama State. I know I did not expect Alabama State to defeat the Grambling State Tigers. Kels, what do you think about Grambling's loss, which drops them to 0-3, 0-1 in the SWAC to Alabama State? What does that say about the state of the Grambling Tigers? We know Graham fam has to be panicking.
This is not the same team. This is not the same team. This is not the same team that we saw, that we have been watching over the 2 years. And it's still early on. Anything can happen, but this is not the same team that we have watched over the time. And I really, yesterday, I really can't say what happened between them and Alabama State to lose 20-23. Watching Alabama State, like I said, play against UAB, I already said that was going to be a different team, and they will put some people on alert. Again, the Valley's going to alert some people. Pine Bluff already alerting people, and then here you come with Alabama State alerting people. So I don't know exactly what people expected. It's just like Patrick said earlier. Oh, it's just Valley. Oh, it's just people are sleeping. They're straight sleeping on those teams. And the thing is that of course, Alabama State comes off a win with Tuskegee, but then a loss to Kennesaw. So, playing in this contest where Grambling lost to ULM and Louisiana Tech, I don't know. With Jeremy kicking bottom, I don't know. Kind of, y'all tell me if he's questionable, because I know he did. I don't, no interceptions. They say that he's a top 8 starting quarterback in the SWAC. They said he's the only one that has not thrown any interceptions.
We threw one this game.
But, okay, so this is one. Okay, so that's his one. So tell me how exactly he is, because I haven't got a chance to play.
Well, he's a dual threat quarterback. He's been pretty steady against the FBS competition, but I guess when you get in the SWAC, they don't care if you play well against an FBS school. You're in the SWAC play now, and he completed 19 of 30 passes for 184 yards, 1 touchdown, and that aforementioned interception. He was also sacked 3 times. Welcome to SWAC play, Mr. Hickbottom. You on your bottom a lot. But through the ground, Grambling was led by Jakari Nichols with 91 yards. Hickbottom, like I said, he's dual threat, ran for 70 yards, minus not including the 17 he lost in sack yardage. Justin Richard had 30 yards. And Keenan Funno had 14 yards and 1 touchdown for the Grambling State Tigers. Through the air, Lyndon Rash from Baton Rouge had 5 catches for 55 yards and a touchdown to lead Grambling. But Alabama State would not be denied, Kills. I mean, they didn't care that Grambling was picked to be number 2 in the SWAC. They didn't care about the Eddie Robinson Lord. They didn't care about Graham Fam traveling. They defended their home turf. Davis threw for 224 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. The ground game was led by Ezra Gray with 41 yards. Davis also ran for 23 yards and a touchdown. Through the air, the Hornets were led by Jefferson with 8 catches for 81 yards. Hickson had 5 catches for 52 yards and 1 touchdown. Defensively for Grambling, they were led by Anthony Mullins, 7 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and 2 sacks. Alabama State was led defensively by Devin Booker with 10 tackles, 1.5 tackles for loss, and a sack. But this lets you know that the SWAC is not going to be decided on paper this year, Kels. It's not going to be decided on votes. It's going to be decided on the field because Alabama State is trying to let you know that, hey, we're going to compete for the SWAC East crown also. You can't just crown Alcorn just yet. So, I mean, and this is a statement win for Alabama State. Even though this is not the typical Grambling State team, it's still Grambling. And you know Grambling is going to come to play. You know they're going to come to play, and this is a good win for Alabama State to start out 1-0 in SWAC play. A good win. I mean, when you can get a good win against a good team, it gives you confidence, and that's what you need early in SWAC play. Chaos PP.
Yeah, I picked Alabama State to win.
Oh, you did?
But yeah. But Alabama State that's a gritty. Ely has them. That's a grit and grind team. Like they're not going to do a UAPB, a Prairie View, and score 30, 40 points on you, but they're going to play hard defense and try to establish that run game and keep the game close and they find a way to win. And that's what they did against Grambling. As far as Grambling concerned, Higginbottom, he's a good player, but he's not Kincaid. People got mad at me when I said before. They got mad at me. I don't care, man. I mean, he's a solid player. He can run. He's an athlete, but he's not. He just doesn't have that Kincaid hit, and it's showing. And Grambling need to get used to at least 3 or 4 losses this year because they haven't even ran into Prairie View or UAPB yet. So yeah.
Yes, indeed. All right, moving along. Are we done with Grambling at Alabama State? Can we move on to the last 2 games in the SWAC? Which one game I would like to skip?
Yep. We can go.
Alabama A&M fell to Samford, 55-21. Not a good game for the Bulldogs. Offensively for Alabama A&M. Come on, Apple. Akil Glass did not have his typical good game. He did have 186 yards and 2 touchdowns, but he was intercepted twice. On the ground, Jordan Bentley had an awesome game, rushing for 137 yards but no touchdowns. Corey Spencer had 1 rush, 72 yards to the house for a touchdown. Through the air, Xavier Moore had 64 yards, Ryan Stolz 43 yards and a touchdown. Joseph Burke had the other touchdown on 1 catch for 4 yards. Defensively for Alabama A&M, Kelly had 11 tackles, followed up by Monty Holloway with 9 and Trenton McGee with 8. Our Delta Devils, PP, our fan base really expected more out of this game with Bethune-Cookman visiting Itta Bena, with us playing Tennessee State tough, with us playing Lamar tough. We expected to see a more competitive game. And while we scored in the first quarter, we were shut out the rest of the game. Did you go to the game?
Yep.
So give us a brief overview of this game. Was Bethune Cookman that much better than Valley?
Nope.
Or do we have our typical Valley stuff that happens to make us lose?
Yeah, that's it. Let me see. Give this over. The defense played their butt off. I mean, number one, Bethune only scored 22 points compared to the other game against Jackson State. So that's props off to them. I mean, Bethune basically got 2 touchdowns off long runs, but the defense was pretty much, they kept Williams in check, and they just played fast. And I think it kind of surprised Bethune because they wasn't used to that type of physicality. Yeah, so, but the offense, I mean, yeah, we played a clean game, but he had four illegal snap penalties on the center, and that pretty much killed the lives. And
wow,
I'm not going to get into the bashing game. I'm not going to bash anybody on this podcast or whatever, but it just seemed like the offense just got into quicksand yesterday, and
that's not good.
Man.
That's not good.
Yeah.
Quicksand. All right, so moving along to the MEAC. Awesome week in the MEAC. First up, Morgan State taking on Army, and the Morgan State showed signs of life, even though they lost 52-21. I think this is their season high in points, 21 points. I had to go back and look and make sure if that's correct. If I'm wrong, please forgive me. But it was nice to see Morgan State put out some offensive output. Howard defeated Delaware State 24-9. Pull those stats up here. Because, with his big brother on the sideline, Caden Newton is going to be the only Newton quarterback on display for football fans this weekend. Through the air, pull this up here. Hey, they don't have it up there. Through the air, Caden Newton was 21 for 35, 242 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He was sacked 4 times on the ground. Dick Parson had 37 yards. Josiah Crute had 36 yards and a touchdown. Newton scored 1 touchdown, but only 14 total yards rushing due to those dastardly sacks. Through the air, Kyle Anthony had 6 catches for 67 yards. Damiel Gillespie, 5 catches for 59 yards. Michael Cornwell, 48 yards on 5 catches. Gillespie and Cornwell had both touchdowns. Delaware State was led through the air by Bethea. He had 123 yards and 1 touchdown. On the ground, Dallas had 56 yards, Waters 24, Harris 20. Through the air, Kay Colley had 3 catches for 49 yards and 1 touchdown. So, Howard getting back on track. What do y'all think about Caden Newton, leading Howard to their first victory of the season, 1-0 in MEAC play?
He's on his way, and then of course you start out. You don't know how you're going to end this, but you start out. You don't know how you're going to end, but you start out on a high note. You're 1-0, and I think it's good if you start out like that because that way, if you got some moves on the back end, there's a little bit of leeway, a little bit of leverage. So I think they're going to be okay.
All right. Now, Norfolk State State. I'm hungry. I'm saying steak. I'm sorry, y'all. Norfolk State fell to Montana State, the number 8 ranked FCS squad, 56-21. A good start for Norfolk State as they kind of faltered the last couple of games. I mean, it's FCS versus FCS, so. And even though Norfolk State has not been one of the top teams in the MEAC, you want to have a good showing against another FCS foe. So this drops Norfolk State down to 1-3. The Spartans were led offensively by Jawan Carter with 243 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kevin Johnson had 112 yards rushing and 1 touchdown. Through the air, the Kendall James had 103 yards on 5 catches. Next game, anybody want to come in on that game? PP Kill?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
All right, yeah. We don't want to talk about games like that. But when it's HBU HBCU versus HBCU. These are games we do want to talk about. North Carolina Central got their first victory on the season, sending Elizabeth City State to 0-3. A 45-7 victory for North Carolina Central. The new coach gets his first win, so congratulations to North Carolina Central's new head coach. I know he probably wanted that win early in the season, but when you get it, you get it. The Eagles were led by Davius Richard with 208 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. Isaiah Totten, 74 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. Jordan Freeman, 68 yards and 1 touchdown. Total of 183 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns. Also, Latrell Collier had 20 yards, and quarterback Davis Richard had 34. Through the air, Ryan McDaniel, 74 yards and 1 touchdown. Deshaun Stevens had 31 yards, and Latrell Collier also had 2 catches for 25 yards and 1 touchdown. North Carolina Central were led defensively by Darius Royster, 8 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, and 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble. Now, in Elizabeth City State, ECSU, not much offensive output. That Eagle defense just swarming. Kedrick Patterson, 55 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception through the air. On the ground, only 23 total yards on the ground. Like I said, that Eagles defense was swarming. Kels, what do you think about this blowout victory that NCCU was able to put on Elizabeth City State?
God, I think that's embarrassing. And for people who don't know, I was asking this the other day, Elizabeth City, I didn't realize, but I do know Coach Jones, that was at Alabama A&M, is still there. But, yeah, that's just one word, embarrassing.
Yeah, and that is Coach Trey Oliver. His name was escaping me. But head coach Trey Oliver got his first victory for North Carolina Central. And I think that's
my
awesome.
former Southern Jaguar, but it's all good.
Yeah. PP, you want to come in on this game?
Yeah, I guess Central needed it after them first couple games. They needed that tune-up game. Yeah, fortunately for Elizabeth City, but yeah, they kind of needed that game to get back before they get into MEAC play.
Yes, indeed. Now we're finna jump over to the SEAC. And wow, the first game we're gonna talk about is a good one. I mean, this is 2 teams who both have been pretty good in their respective conferences. Winston-Salem State versus Tuskegee. Winston-Salem State out of the CIAA, visiting Tuskegee, and they come into Tuskegee and get the W. Kales, 23-20 lost by Tuskegee. Were you surprised?
Yeah, pretty much.
I figured you were because you took a deep breath.
Yeah. And the thing is, I can't really gauge with Coach Slater, his team. The last 2 years, I can't really gauge because, they're always predicted to finish first or second. And then, well, of course, this year they were predicted to win second behind Miles. But I can't, this year I can't really keep up with what will and won't happen with that Tuskegee team.
Right. And just to run down these stats, and that defense for Winston-Salem State really rammed Tuskegee's offense, pun intended, because that is the mascot that Kale takes of Winston-Salem State. Jamarcus Azell had 163 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. He was also sacked 2 times. On the ground, though, Tuskegee was held to 82 total yards. Torian Taylor, 48 yards. Ezell, 30 total yards. Through the air, Stephen Hodges had 5 catches of 64 yards. Peyton Ramsey had 1 catch for 30 yards. Petway had 3 catches for 25 yards. Defensively, for Tuskegee, DeVoris Thomas led the way with 9 tackles, followed up by Ricky Norris with 8 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, and 1 sack. Now on to the victors. The visiting Winston-Salem State University Rams were led by Dominique Graves with 176 yards through the air. 1 touchdown. He was sacked once. On the ground, Quorum Sloan. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Ran for 52 yards, followed up by Murchison with 42 yards and 1 touchdown. Graves also ran for 18 yards and a touchdown. Through the air, Chandler Belk had 88 yards, followed up by Jonathan Allen with 43. Quincy Jackson with 1 catch for 31 yards and a touchdown. Defensively for the Rams, led by Bunty Freeman, 6 tackles, followed up by Tashawn Taylor, 5 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble, and 1 interception. What a game by Tashawn Taylor. Like I said, I picked Tuskegee to win this game, and Winston-Salem State comes in and makes a statement. Next game, Fort Valley State beats Shorter University. I picked Shorter to win this game, so kudos to Fort Valley State for making me look bad.
Did too. I did too, especially after that dragging last week from FAMU.
They want to do some dragging this week. But, next up, Miles. I didn't see that getting blown out by Missouri S&T.
I did.
You saw that, PP?
Yep.
Yeah.
Can you give me the lottery winners numbers, please? If you saw Missouri S&T blowing out Miles 49-21.
Yeah, I saw that.
All right, so Savannah State defeats Benedict 21-14. I did pick that game. I figured Savannah State, just a year removed from being an FCS squad, still has more athletes per capita than Benedict. So Savannah might make some noise in the SEAC. Edward Waters gets blown out by Lane. I mean, I think final score was 44-10. Clark Atlanta drops to 0-3, another loss to Central State. And the Albany State Rams finally woke up after that drubbing they took from Mississippi College, 26-14 over West Georgia. Kels, what do you think about Albany State waking up from that sleepwalking they were doing last week?
It's about time. It's about time. You got to do it when it counts, so it's about time.
PP?
Well, I mean, part of me wanted to root for the Mississippi team, but since it's Mississippi College, I don't too much care about them. So I'm happy.
Yeah,
I was happy to see
I was glad to see Alcorn whoop them bad, too. So
yeah, I was glad to see them get that good drubbing in on them.
All right. Now, let's see. I think that's the end of our SEAC games. So now we're ready to jump over to the CIAA before we get ready to get out of here. And again, Kels, Norman Hall, no problem for the number 25 ranked Bowie State Bulldogs. They blow out Alderson Brodus 42-14. Quarterback Gaston Cooper threw a pair of touchdowns, 33 and 27 yards, and ran for another score. He's playing like him here, throwing touchdowns, running touchdowns. But hey, I have to find me another favorite quarterback, HBCU quarterback. It might be Gaston Cooper. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? But I can tell you who it won't be. It won't be no quarterback from Alcorn. No, it won't. What do you think about Bowie State's victory over Alderson Brodus and their number 25 ranking?
And the funny thing is, I don't even know that team like that. So, of course, to blow them out like that says a lot about the Bowie State team. And the funny thing is that you always say that same thing, no Amir Hall, no problem. Again, I keep telling you, put that on a T-shirt. It's the truth. They're still rocking and rolling. For people that pay attention or don't pay attention to CIAA, they're still doing well. Exactly.
All right, we already talked about Winston-Salem State defeating Tuskegee. Virginia State, no, not a problem with St. Augustine's. They blow out St. Aug's 34-7. I picked Virginia State to win this game. I didn't see St. Aug's competing with Virginia State. Kels, PP?
No.
All right. Virginia Union beats up on Johnson C. Smith 33-19. The Virginia teams are showing their worth in the CIAA. They've definitely been strong. Now, one of my favorite new teams in the CIAA, Livingstone, Kels. They're still undefeated. They're 3-0 after beating Allen 21-7. What do you think about Livingstone's start?
I actually talked to my friend that works for Livingstone, and we talked about that. I said Livingstone is actually showing us that they are the truth. I still don't like their mascot, but that does not mean that their team can't win. I'm glad that they have gotten rid of the mascot. I still don't like him, but Livingstone, I don't think anybody saw Livingstone starting like this. If they can keep it going, because even watching them playing Clark Atlanta 2 weeks ago, they started out behind, and of course they end up winning. So I think Livingstone is the truth. Clark Atlanta, on the other hand, not so much.
PP?
Livingstone. I think they're probably going to be the surprise team of the CRAA. Let's see if they can maintain this, because we saw what happened with from the other conference, the Morehouse last year, how they got off to that fast start and fizzled at the end. So let's see if Livingstone can keep this up.
Yes, indeed. And to a thriller game in 2 overtimes, after scoring 70 points last week, Chowan was held to 47, and it took a 2-point conversion stop by Shaw to secure the victory. They beat Chowan 48-47. Kels, there go those heart-stopper games for you.
Those are the worst. Those are the worst for me. And those are ones you have to hold your breath on. It seems like 10 seconds is like an hour. Those are the worst games ever for me.
And Fayetteville State blows out Lincoln, Pennsylvania, 51-6. That's the end of the CRAA game, but I have a few more games I want to talk about. Texas College lost to Lyon College 32-17. West Virginia State got blown out by Southeast Missouri State 56-10. Where is it? Langston beats up on Panhandle State 35-14. Hampton loses to Liberty 62-27. West Florida shuts out Virginia Lynchburg. And Central Oklahoma shuts out Lincoln, Missouri. Those are all the scores I have for you in HBCU football. Okay, let's go ahead and close us out.
Everybody for rolling with us, joining us this week for this upcoming week. Black College Experience will be in Mobile. I will be in Mobile on Saturday. This is the Gulf Coast Challenge. This will be Central State rolling against Alabama A&M. So this is Coach Pearl against Coach Maynor. Central State did just beat Clark Atlanta on yesterday, so we're going to see what they do with this Alabama A&M team and see what Akil Glass brings. So I will be in Mobile this weekend, Lab People Stadium. I'm rolling out.
All right. We are out of here. Thank you for listening to Black College Experience. Make sure you check in with us next week as we're going to recap all HBCU football action as much as we can. Have a good night.